quench your thirst. Okay, and we'll get started as soon as she gets here. God put pockets in your clothes. Fill them up. Okay. arrived, and we're going to kick off this community conversation. My name is Nat Scroggins. I'm the director for the Minority Outreach Coalition. And the purpose of this community conversation is so we can communicate. So unless you speak Braille, I need everybody to say something today. We are live streaming the community conversation for those that missed it. However, we're streaming on a budget. So when you get the microphone, if you could walk up in the area that I'm standing in, then you'll be sure to get on camera. Now, if you don't want to get on camera, just grab the microphone and start talking. But I want everybody to at least get to know the people that is at your table. And when you stand up for the first time, at least let us know your name and your affiliation so we'll know, where we're directing the data that we're collecting tonight. And the MC will explain all about that. So let me turn it over to Maria Bowles. She's with the Mediation Center and a good friend.
Good evening. Can I put this in? Okay. I got a big mouth for microphone, guys. I'm gonna try not to blow out the speakers. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing tonight? Y'all ready to have a good conversation? Y'all ready to have a good conversation? Ready to dig deep and share your personal experiences? Oh, only like one person ready to do that. Okay, let me rephrase. Y'all ready to share your personal opinions? All right, a little better. Okay. Like Nat said, my name is Mia Bowers. I am the executive director of the Community Mediation Center here in St. Mary's County. If you are unfamiliar with us, here I have some brochures that give you some information about what it is that we do, such as help hold conversations in the community such as this. So today we really want to, again, hear from you to get a really good understanding of what's going on for the community. And I don't do a good job standing still, so I'm going to walk over to y'all and have this conversation. Is that okay if I join you? No? Oh my good. Okay, guys, y'all gonna have to respond now. This is a interactive. Oh, they said I gotta stay put and be in the camera. Okay, I'm a follow instructions. So on that note, we do have a few housekeeping rules or things that we want to get out the way as we get today started. So we're here today because the Minority Outreach Coalition has said, you know what? It is our charge in the community to make sure that we are establishing connections and helping people work together and understand the needs of the community, right? And really bringing together the stakeholders, the community members, anyone who cares, pretty much, right? And I'm looking around, I know a lot of your faces, and I see a lot of people that care. I see some new faces to me anyway, and I'm really interested to know, again, what it is that's important to you. So you got a list of questions in advance, and maybe you just got them today. If you haven't, they're in that blue folder there. Just take a look at them so that you have a kind of a head start of what it is that we're going to be talking about. And what our goal is to identify crisis issues, right? What are the critical things? What's important to you? What's that thing that's been going on around town that nobody seems to be addressing? Or what's that thing that everybody in the community agrees that we need to do something about, but just the right actions haven't been taken? What are those things? What do you think some answers to those questions could be? What would you like to see happen to address these things? That's the stuff that we're going to talk about today. And so we want to make sure that the information that comes out of today is shared. So when you leave here, tell your friends, tell your family, say, come out to the next one. This was a good conversation. I hope we have a good conversation. We're going to share that information. We talked about this and we heard some good ideas about what's going to happen. We're starting to make a plan. And if you want to be a part of this, come to the next conversation or send an email to the Minority Outreach Coalition to say, I wasn't there, but I want to say this. Or I was there and I forgot to say this. We can't address what we don't know. And again, that's the whole point and purpose of today's conversation. And then when we're sharing the information, what are we doing? We're mobilizing the community. So this is all about action, all about you. It's not about the people at the top who decide, you know what, I want to do this thing and I got all of the answers. We don't have the answers. We love to serve, but we really need to get a better grip and understanding of what it is that the community thinks we're missing. So I'm going to now turn it over to you guys to get the conversation started. Anyone who wants to share their, oh, I can't wait for you to pass the mic to me because this thing needs to be said. Who has something on their heart they want to get us started with tonight? I will pick people out the audience just so everyone's on the same page. Okay, well, I'm going to get us started. I'm going to be nice. Let's talk about health and wellness in our community. Health and wellness. What is it that are some barriers that may be in the way of people getting access to the things that they need? What type of policies, or maybe you don't know the policy, but you just know that there's an issue of some sort. Thinking about health and wellness, how do you think we're doing here in California? Wow, you got some quiet people over here.
Let me put the health and wellness a different way. How many of you know what Medicare is getting ready to do with Medicare? A lot of people are going to lose Medicare strictly because the option to serve everybody on May the 11th, 2023 is going away. And a lot of people don't know that yet. So those that think they have coverage or those that have coverage and haven't went back and checked are going to wind up losing it. And you know what? They only do it in the fall of the year. So if you lose it in May the 26th, April the 26th, when can you get reinstated? You can get reinstated November the 1st when the season opens up again. So, these are the things that's getting ready to happen come May the 11th when the emergency, I think it's the COVID emergency plan is lifted. And a lot of people don't know they're going to lose that. So if anybody want to comment on that. Yes.
I'm Christine, and I'm with, can you all hear me? Okay. I'm Christine with Aetna Better Health of Maryland, and we are one of the what they call managed care plans under Medicaid. And I want to be clear because we're all like Medicare, Medicaid. Medicare is for anyone over 65, and that's not going on. This is Medicaid. What was happening is that every year, members on Medicaid were automatically enrolled every year during the pandemic. But now that that pandemic health emergency is ending, as Nat said, May 11th, that means the state will drop people that don't re-enroll. So what you have to do, and I left postcards with the Health Connection phone number and the website. Everyone who's on Medicaid needs to contact Health Connections, make sure their address, their phone number, everything's up to date, so that the state will be sending letters to say, all right, this is your date when you have to re-enroll. It's going to kind of be rolling. So depending on your eligibility, what's on your Medicaid card, you will be receiving a letter and you will have to reapply for Medicaid. And I'm willing to answer questions now, questions after, so everyone else can say, add anything. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. We all do. Believe me, I make the same mistake.
My name is Aniko Renee. I work for Seedco, which is a partner of Maryland Health Connection. So essentially, we help with enrollments in person and over the phone for Medicaid, which is the free full coverage insurance, and also what people use is a dirty word, but we love Obamacare, which is the low cost plans, because a lot of people have already gotten their first round of letters from Maryland Health Connection saying, hey, it's great that you've had insurance for the past 3 years and you are making it. That's cool. But we've now partnered with Department of Labor, Unemployment, Social Security. And now when you send an application or they go to renew it, it pings off each one. So you're going to have a lot of people now who are getting and have already gotten letters that say, you're going to be dropped. Figure it out. That's not the case. Our goal is not to police and say, well, sorry, you have coverage through your job that you can get, because that is what you should do. If your job offers it, awesome. However, we want you to have coverage and walk you through and say, yes, you have a letter, but you have 45 days to call us and make an appointment to go over enrolling, recertify you and say, hey, you still qualify for Medicaid. We send you to the health department. They help you re-enroll, change your MCO, which is like Aetna, or Wellness Point, which used to be Amerigroup. Or you have 60 days from the letter if you already know that you overqualify and have reported yourself, hey, my W-2 did not match what I reported, and I don't want to get all these extra tax credits and then get a bill in December for $12,000 because I thought I was going to get more coverage by putting a lower number because they're scared. I would be scared. I would want to have it be the lowest as possible. They didn't tell us until a month ago they were going to cut it the same time as food stamps at EBT, SNAP. And I'm sorry if I'm a little emotional, but a lot of my consumers have had a lot cut from them at once. And frankly, at Seedco, we try to have members of the community to serve the community. I am from here, but I am not from here. I've lived here since 2003, so I know people, but I'm also conscious enough to know it is not my place to walk into a Black-owned business or a space that is gate kept for a reason and a safe space. However, I would love for friends of friends, people that are okay with having the conversation, whether it be mental health, whether it be I don't know what I'm going to do, where it be I don't understand, even not knowing. Typically around here, they're very big on pushing birth control help. But what about those women in our community, especially Black women, who don't know that state Medicaid insurance can also cover some IVF therapy options? There's so much that we can do and so much information we could provide. So we have the office down here in Great Mills, right off Chancellor's. It's right next to Greenview Knolls. You can stop in. I'm there every day except Monday, which is I'm in our Waldorf office. We cover all 3 counties. We know it's a lot. We know it doesn't make sense. We're trying to get them to be very specific with the letters and go back through. We have a bilingual navigator, so she's able to directly translate and knows what she's talking about. I've seen her make up words that fit as well as they can for insurance. But basically, we're the face. It's cool to have, do it over the phone and text if you don't want to. We have work iPhones that are protected and we can do it that way. If you're nervous and don't like talking to people, if your grandmother wants to talk to somebody on the phone and not be put on hold and call Maryland Health Connection, as much as we love them, we're a lot easier to get to. So with that happening in the next few months, it's considered a special enrollment period. So even if you get a letter that says, hey, it's going to be ending May 11th, no, within 60 days of when you get the final letter, so you should have 2. If you get the second letter 60 days from then, we can enroll you and there's no extra anything. You don't have to wait until open enrollment. You don't have to do that. So just, yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Seedco has Instagram and Facebook, but really what I push for the company to do is have QR codes on most of our little pamphlets and keep them small. because realistically, a lot of people are not going to sit and read like, let me just for later pull it up. Cool, it's a tab left up. Or if you just really are confused and don't want to, you have no idea, come to the office. Walk-ins are welcome. It's just me. It's very casual. If you know someone who's recently released from incarceration, it's a matter of me clicking a button and they have full coverage insurance. It's very touch and go, but we're here to help. We're here to hold the hand. So that's me. And I'm here. It's Seedco, but a lot of people register with Maryland Health Connection first. And my name's Aniko.
Thank you. So a lot of what you're saying is, one, that there's support here, that you understand that we're about to enter a phase where people are going to be losing a lot of their coverage. There was a lot of benefits that were given out during the pandemic because we were in a state of emergency. But now that that state of emergency has ended, so does the benefits. But there are people out here in St. Mary's County, in addition to the state, where you can go to get some support and what's the next step. Because although those particular benefits are ending, there are other benefits to get. And again, you have that support where you can actually get your hand held through the process. And like you're going to hear me say a lot is tell a friend. Tell a friend. We all know at least one person who is stressing out because they're about to lose some benefits or already have lost benefits. And so we have Seedco. I got it right, guys. Oh, I did not. I was saying seed, like the ocean, like the letter. It is seed. Seedco. And something else I heard you say, and I'm going to come to your question next. Something else I heard you say was sometimes people are afraid that if they're getting a credit based off of income that maybe is no longer accurate, that at the end of the year that you can be hit with a tax fines, right? You have to pay that money back. And that's something that's important for people to know that, hey, listen, I know you've been getting those benefits. You better make sure you update your information because what could come at the end of the year is a huge tax bill that you'll be responsible for that could affect multiple other things. So thanks for sharing that.
Hi, everyone. My name is Suha. I wanted to thank Aniko and Ms. Christine for the very informative information. I did want to ask one question about, and it kind of goes into number one, about what we're doing for our undocumented community in terms of insurance. I know that we had health share a while back, and that was actually revoked. And from what I understood, it was the commissioners that actually took that funding away. That's put a big hindrance on the work that we do as a health department. So what conversations are we having regarding getting insurance or coverage for our undocumented community, not just the Hispanic community, because there are other identities that are undocumented as well. But what are we doing about that? Or what is Seedco doing, or Aetna Better Health, or any other MCO? Is there any talk about that? Or
So we made it a priority this year to find a bilingual navigator and outreach specialist because it is different. Just like I know I can't walk into a space that's not mine, I cannot walk in and communicate to specific needs and communities that are not mine. She's great and falls in between to help navigate that. I know that Maryland Health Connection has a certain program that they are developing for asylees versus Ukrainian immigrants. That is in process. To me, that's not on my target radar right now as far as Ukrainian. We are more focused on the opportunity that, stand up. I thought you were saying speak louder. Sorry. We are more focused on the opportunity that President Biden is proposing, the ability for DACA children, dreamers to be able to qualify for Medicaid insurance. Because right now, anyone that is undocumented, Hispanic or non, has a 5-year bar for Medicaid. So they have to be here for 5 years before they can get any type of coverage, whether they're pregnant, whether they have children, whether they cannot. They have to have low cost plans. They a lot of times don't even have a work certificate or social security number. So we are very much open and connected to figuring out what they need next, whether it's employment, whether it's just a liaison for the community of, okay, you can get these services here, you can get these services here. And we are also this summer doing a lot of targeted outreach. for migrants and immigrants because we don't want them to fall through the cracks and think that struggling is America, which it is. But you don't have to when it comes to taking care of yourself and your children. Like I said, I'm not sure what the policies are going to be come June as far as Ukrainian immigrants versus asylees. If you are seeking asylum or you have on your passport that you've been here for asylum, that you're fleeing violence, I think I said that right. Yep. You can qualify for MA. You can qualify for any plan. We just need a document to say, hey, here it is. Here's the stamp. Again, our job is we want to get everyone covered. We're not the police. We also have a non-reporting policy. That's very big. We're somewhere you can come for help and say, hey, I'm scared, but I need help. I don't want to get sent away, but my husband has cancer. Okay, well, we're going to help you call an oncologist. We're going to get Stephanie on the phone to translate so you don't have to feel inconvenienced and wait for them to call one or say they don't have one. We're going to figure out in the in-between time while you're in your status, all right, well, let's go ourselves and go find a good RX card. And I will sit on the phone with your pharmacist and read each one and say, you're going to take the time, whether you understand them or not. This is what we're doing. We're going into restaurants around here locally and markets saying, hey, we see you too. There's someone you can come talk to and not have to, well. So we're making an effort. We don't want to take, we want to give. Does that answer anything? Okay. Oh, yes.
Suha, we can't hear you, but but it sounds like there are some avenues of support there, and you said there's people who are bilingual, so they can actually some real communication can happen. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that going to get help or services, you don't have to worry about being reported. That's not something that's even on the table, and so that's something that pass along, share their information.
I was just going to say thank you so much for that. There's people at the health department that I can also put you in touch with who'd love to support with the outreach if possible. And Bill, actually at the college, there's a group called Grupo Bienestar. They do a lot of work for the Hispanic community, so they could also help as well if that's something you guys want to do. So I appreciate it.
I just want to add that the Maryland General Assembly has passed expanded coverage this year called the Healthy Babies Equity Act that will provide health care for, regardless of immigrant status, to pregnant women, prenatal and postpartum after they give birth. So there is that. I don't know quite yet how people can find information, but I'm sure if they call the local health department too, they can find information on that.
Thank you. Healthy Babies Equity Act. Healthy Babies Equity Act. So that's legislation that helps to get the services that we need, right? So that's a good example of policies that we have in place that help support the concerns. Are there any other concerns or just comments or questions regarding the immigration population?
How many people in St. Mary's County are affected by this by number? Since we know it started 3 years ago, there ought to be a database that indicates who are the Medicaid or Medicare recipients in St. Mary's County and where are they geographically located if they're in a general population.
Different, but on our end, since we do both the Medicaid and the low cost plans, the last number we got for St. Mary's County alone was 300,000, which sounds like how is there even that many, but it's almost everyone essentially, because there's so many of us outside of contractors. Did I say 300 or 30? 30. Sorry, I have dyscalculia. Sorry, it's like dyslexia, but with math. Let's talk about other issues. I saw the faces and I was like, did I miss a number? 30,000. 30,000 in St. Mary's. That makes a lot more sense and it's a lot less confusing. But 30,000, they haven't given us everything for the southern region that includes Calvert and Charles. So I won't speak to something I don't know. But as far as us, we have a lot of people, even some contractors who right now are using the low cost QHP plans because they think that they can. I don't want to pay base insurance. If you it's a grant. If you have employee sponsored coverage, you have to get it. So those are the first round of letters that went out were people that are identified as making too much on paper. So it's going to trickle down, but I don't want to give a number that I don't know. But as far as we were told Wednesday, we're at 30,000.
And 30,000 represents,
The southern region. My southern region, St. Mary's, then we have Michelle.
no, the number 30,000 represents what's the demo,
Going to be affected.
who's going to be affected? Was that your question, Alonzo? Okay.
I sit on a call with a committee of like 36, but for us, we were given the number 30,000 to see how we're going to split into the 3 counties. So since we have 3 navigators and 3 specialists, that's how we're looking at it.
Okay. So I have a follow-up question. So we were talking about people who definitely make too much money and they need to start thinking about other options. What about people who are right up against the line and faces that the dilemma of falling off the cliff? So what falling off the cliff means is you just make just enough money to no longer get any type of benefits or insurance. Some people call that the Alice group of individuals, that middle class group of people who need support but isn't quite eligible for. What type of supports or services do we have here locally to help address those Alice families or people who are right up against the line and aren't sure what to do next? She has all the answers here tonight, guys. I'm so excited.
Not at all, but we just are we're just the connector. That's why it's the Southern Region Connector Program through SEEDCO. Our job is just to, if you find at the health department or wherever you may be going, and they say, sorry, you're 1,000 over, or, ooh, I'm sorry, you're super over, or teeter that line, we're going to sit there and shop and plan shop with you and try to find something that gives you the coverage you need for your family's needs, but isn't completely depleting your savings, regular account. What is a savings right now? Like, we're just here to help.
Let me give y'all some figures to think about. The median household income in St. Mary's County is $85,000 a year. Now, if you're not making $85,000 a year, that means you're not on the base with one of them high-tech jobs. But the landlords and the business people, they know what the median household income is. So if they're gonna put out rentals or products, then they're gonna base it on that median household income. Now, the support staff that supports all of them high-tech jobs ain't nowhere near $85,000 a year. So the minute you freak out about it, then they call Greg Roos and say, hey, we got a mental problem over here. No, we don't have a mental problem. What we have is a communication problem. Because the landlords say, well, if the median household income is $85,000 a year, I'm renting my house for $1,300 a month. $1,300 a month, you could buy a house. You know, but a lot of people don't know that. So with 14.7% of the minorities living in just 20653, which is Lexington Park, okay, that doesn't include Great Mills. It doesn't include Park Hall. It doesn't include the base, and it doesn't include California. It's 14.7% of the minorities living just in Lexington Park. And the jobs that they have is support that $85,000 a year worker that's on the base. So that's where you run into conflicts at, because now, in order to get that $85,000, me, my wife, and Junior all have to work. We have to work just to reach that 85,000 a year. But if all of us is working, then when do we know about our benefits? Because every one of us is working 9 to 5. You know, so it's no sense in you having a program that's running from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening, because when I get off work, I got to rest. You know, now the weekend comes along and you telling me, well, take your family out. Health in Lexington Park or in St. Mary's County is very prevalent. It's a lot of healthy things you can do here. But if you are dealing with that minimum wage, you got to say, where can I do it? So I'm going to ask this question. Somebody stand up and tell me what healthy means to you in St. Mary's County. Anybody? Okay. Okay. All right, that's good. Treating people with dignity. What else? What does healthy mean to you? Okay, unplugging from the internet and take them out there. How many people in this room got internet? No, let me put it this way. How many people in this room don't have internet? Okay, so if nobody in this room don't have it, all right? I asked this same question when I was over on Peggs Road, the senior living place. You know what I was told? We don't have it. I said, as cheap as internet is, how come you don't have it? You want to hear the answer? Well, we live on a fixed income. I said, I don't care if your income is fixed. It's still cheap. No, it ain't cheap. Because we can only get internet through this certain company, and this certain company has a exclusive for everybody that lives on Peggs Road Senior Citizen Building, and they want $86 a month for internet per apartment. It ain't even a house, you know. And the woman told me, I said, well, it was a lady over there that had to go to the doctor, and she says, well, I take the STS bus to the hospital. I said, well, you can go and get this appointment on Monday because, you know, they got that service. And then on Thursday, you can go and get this one done. She said, no, all of it has to be on Monday because it's $2 to ride the STS bus. And once I pay my rent, I only have $8 left. So if I can't do it on that first day, it won't get done till the next month. But these are the stuff we're living with. My wife will tell you the Minority Outreach Coalition got started because a 26-year-old girl died of cancer, colon cancer. And colon cancer is curable. But she had it because she don't have insurance. Well, why didn't you ask? Well, who am I going to ask? Anybody here drive a jet? So if I was giving away jets, you wouldn't even go out there and take it. Why? Because you can't drive. And that's the way it is with some of the illnesses that we have in our community. And then we have people like Suha, my friend over here, my wife over here, who's an occupational therapist that knows all of this stuff, but they ain't telling nobody. Ain't telling nobody. She talk about it when, you know, it's great pillow talk. You know what I mean? And you're absolutely right. And I don't want to get Dr. Warfowl started, but how many of y'all know how many Title V schools we have in St. Mary's County? Title I. How many Title I schools do we have? We got 5. We got 5. Charles County got 1. Calvert County got 1. St. Mary's County got 5. All in that 14.7 that I talked about. And there's a reason for that. Yes, there's an avenue for that. The same way your organization goes over there and does that spring cookout with them and the Christmas cookout with them. It's a way to do that. But you got to realize that everybody in this room has a life. Everybody in this room has a life. And a lot of us know that that life centers around 9 to 5. So since I don't own the company, I got to do what the boss tells me to do. I learned something when I was in the military. I'm going to go ahead and say this, and Greg will probably back me up. No company hires people. Not one company in this world will hire a people. They hire a tool. You know what I mean? And that tool just happens to be a people. So if I wanted to take this TV down, I say, let me get a screwdriver. Well, Lionel, you're the screwdriver. Okay? And Tony, you're the hammer. So as soon as I get Lionel working, Lionel gonna tell me, well, Tony ain't doing nothing. Well, what's gonna happen if I use the hammer to take the TV down? You see what I mean? So companies work with people. And a lot of times we'll come home upset. We explain it to the spouse. We explain it to the neighbor. We explain it to the family that they ain't treating me right. You know, and here's the big kicker. We got to play that race card. You know, we're going to play that race card in a New York minute because that's our way out. When I didn't hire you as a people in the first place. So when you take your feelings to work, instead of taking yourself as the hammer or the screwdriver, you're going to get your feelings hurt. You need to take yourself out of context and say, what am I here for? And you hear people say it all the time. You just don't realize it. But that ain't in my job description. You know, screwdrivers don't drive nails. And hammers don't remove screws. That's their job description. Know your job description. And when you're talking to individuals, explain to them their job description. And we can eliminate about a third of the problems that we have in our communities. But you go there talking about, you know, I don't like the way they talk to me. Did they pay you? Yeah. Well, what did you go there for? Well, but they see, no, ain't no buts. You know what I mean? Know your job description, get paid, come on out of there and be satisfied. Stop thinking you're people. You want to think you're people? Go talk to the lady in the mirror. Go talk to the man in the mirror. But the only thing I need to take that TV down is the screwdriver. And you telling me use the hammer. The hammer ain't did nothing all week. Companies don't look at that things like we look at them. They need to get the job done. And in order to get the job done, they're going to reach in that toolbox. And if that hammer happens to be named John, or the screwdriver happens to be named Fred, or the pair of pliers happen to be named Linda, that's what they're going to pull out. But when you walk around with an attitude, because ain't nobody call you Linda, you're going to have the same attitude If I said, there's Linda, I bet she a screwdriver. Cause why? Because the mind tells you to think otherwise.
So Matt, you're talking about using the right tools to get the job done. You said a lot, and I'm gonna try to pull something that I think we're here to talk about is the problems in our community. You said, how can you get anything done if you're not using the right tools? So first thing we got to do is identify what are the problems that we are trying to address, and what are those tools? What are, Dr. Walthour?
Well, I know that I could name a lot, but I'm going to name one that I think we could all really agree on, and that is transportation. The dollar bus is it, and we really need to improve that. We really do. In order to do that, if we do that, we can get more jobs, because driver's education is not free anymore. Like many of us in this room, when we went to school, it was part of the curriculum. We learned to drive. These young people do not know how to drive, and they don't want to drive. So therefore, mom and dad have to take them everywhere. So we really need to start thinking about working with our school systems. College of Southern Maryland, you know, I'm with the NAACP. I'm Janice Walthour. And part of our talk with the superintendent that we meet quarterly with is to bring back free driver's education. The school systems no longer do that, but the College of Southern Maryland does that. They do driver's training, but we're looking for a way for that to be free to the young folks in our schools. So that is one important thing. Also, how do we get to the Trades, Energy and Trade Center in Charles County as part of CSM's program, which there are pre-apprenticeships for people that want to get into the trades that go there. And if you enroll in a pre-apprenticeship at the College of Southern Maryland, you get first dibs in with the contractors. So if you go into welding and if you go through their pre-apprenticeship program and you want to weld, your name comes up first to get the welding job. But how many people from St. Mary's County public schools can get to CSM? Now, Charles County has a program that they bus the kids there. We don't have transportation. We do not have it. I think they were working on doing what they call a hub, where you could go to College of Southern Maryland. Once again, how do you get to the College of Southern Maryland if you don't have a driver's license and mom, dad take you? Go to the College of Southern Maryland, get on a bus, go to the Hughesville campus, and then go to all three campuses. That was the plan. That's the transportation plan. They know about the plan. It's not working yet. So the problem is, who knows about these things? How do you find out? Communication, where's Mia? Is an issue for us in this community, and really word of mouth. Many of the issues that we talked about today, people just don't know, but that is a real critical area for me and many others. And it all revolves around education as well. How do you learn to drive? How do you learn to find out what's the tool is, Nat? What's the hammer and what's the nail?
So transportation is a big thing. So not only having access to learn how to drive in a way that's equitable, right? Because if we have those barriers that we can't get around, then obviously it's a problem. Barriers equals problems. And then the problem of, well, we just have things that's too far. So if I don't have my license, or I can't, I don't have a car, whatever that is, what are the alternative transportation modes do we have here? Well, how can we address that? We have some Uber, we have some Lyft. Is that something that's feasible for our county? Is that something that we can scale up? What are some other options that we can do to address those transportation problems? That's the type of stuff we think about. And like Dr. Walthour said, we work with the people in our government to say, hey, this is a problem. What are we going to do about it? We're talking about holding our elected officials accountable for the things. If there's a plan in action to get a hub, where's the hub? They say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So if we're not talking their ears off about, hey, excuse me, you had said it was going to be if we're not asking, they're clearly not doing. If we're not asking loud enough, then they can ignore our whispers. So we need more excitement, more energy around that. And like Dr. Walthour said, tell a friend. When you leave here today, you should be like, oh my God, you guys, I got so much stuff to tell you. Did you know that benefits are about to end, but we got support? Did you know that there's a plan for us to have better transportation, but nothing's being done about it? I know about this meeting. We should go and we should make a lot of noise. We could make a lot of noise. What else are some other things that's going on in our community that needs our attention, that we need to be a bit louder about? I'm going to let you think about it. I'm going to ask a different question at the same time. Earlier, we talked about a lot of the services that are available at the different locations. We have a new health hub in Lexington Park that's designed to bring organizations together so it can almost be like a one-stop shop, to get their services. How many people are aware of the health hub and the vast amount of different things that you can get done at the health hub? Who's had any experience there? Anyone has been, checked it out, that wasn't providing a service? What was your opinion? I'm gonna come to you because you're my path. What was your experience like at the health hub?
Overall, it's been phenomenal. I think it's been needed. I think it's kind of I'm sorry. I wasn't going to be long. Overall, I feel like it's filled a gap that we've had for a really long time in a location that really, truly needs that points place fixture for the folks that are local, that don't have the means for transportation, that are on the poverty line, that are not able to do the employment, that cannot get to the schools. So overall, I think it's been working really well. And I do feel like the agencies that are partnering with the hub is benefiting as well in how we're spreading the word through the community.
So I heard it was a one-stop shop to go and learn about a lot of different things. When you first go in the hub, the first thing you see is a wall of different brochures, flyers, did you knows? Because we know you don't know, and we want you to know. Has there anyone else had any experience before I share some feedback that I got about the hub? Anyone else want to share their experience with the hub? Oh, I'm sorry, right?
Well, I went there. I saw you that day. That was my first time in the health hub. They were very accommodating. I went there to help one of my people get a phone. And the young lady sat down with us. She helped us fill out the application. She submitted the application. She gave me the information that I needed if I needed to follow up with it. So it's not just about health per se, but they'll help you with anything as far as my experience. So.
And I'll hold the mic. So in homeless services, what I've observed is a lot of times folks come to us and we're like the one-stop shop. However, we shouldn't be the one-stop shop because our focus should be what we do to rehouse that person that's in a literal homeless position or facing an eviction or utility bill that could lead to their losing their housing. For many, many years, we've had to do exactly that, focus on the mental health, a lot of different things, because there isn't means of getting people to where they need to be. So the Health Hub has acted in many ways as a branch, an avenue for us. What we've done, the person Ms. Dolly is talking about, our folks did a referral to the Health Hub. Ms. Dolly went over with him to the Health Hub. They knew he was coming because we made that communication and contact. This is how it should be. This is the hub being there, having all the services should be like this. It should be where you go to someone for the homeless services, you do the referral so people can do what they need to do and not burn out the way we've been burning out in our position.
Thank you. So we're learning that there are more things at the Health Hub beyond health. The mediation center is at the Health Hub once a week to offer services. There are mentoring services there. Stella's Girls are there twice a week offering mentoring services. There are a lot of different things there, but I think we're having a communication problem with letting people know that there are a lot of things there at the Health Hub. So I wanted to bring that up because, again, we're talking about sharing information, getting that word out that there's more. But we're also talking about addressing problems and concerns. And a concern that came in my direction from a client visiting me at the health hub was, oh my gosh, I got to go through security. And I think that that's something that needs to be talked about. Everyone wants to be safe. That's an obvious thing. We need to be safe. But what message are we sending when the first thing you have to do upon getting buzzed into the building is to talk to the security guard? Do we have a security guard at the front door at the health department in Leonardtown? Or anywhere else? So when we talk about things that we can do to improve, right? We want to offer our services. We got this wonderful place here. But I'm saddened to hear people say, oh, I didn't want to go there because of. I had someone tell me just today, oh, I didn't know that they have regular doctor's appointments at the health hub as well. My doctor told me to meet them there, but I didn't want to go to the health hub though. That is a problem. And so I'm putting it here on the record because that's something that we need to think about. How can we realistically address safety concerns? Because that's a real concern. While at the same time, not dehumanizing people when they walk through the door that although you're here to get a free massage, because I got free massages here, guys, that you have to go through security first.
When you talk about safety, it's really something that they have that beautiful new police facility that sits right there next to the health hub, but they are never really there. So did our tax dollars pay for that facility? And then because I'm over there, now that the season is over, I'm over there every day at 5:00, and when I'm there, nobody's there. So if I have an issue where I'm at Church of the Ascension and the police department, that's a beautiful facility, is empty, what good is it doing the community that it sits in if nobody's there to man the building? So how do we address that if the building is just going to be empty? Who's paying? Whose tax dollars is paying for that building and it's always empty? So that's why we feel like we have a safety issue. If there was a car or two or police or two that sat there that was there on a regular basis, then maybe the community would feel a little bit more safe, right?
All right, so Dolly is talking about a different issue as well. The safety. Safety is a real concern. What are we going to do about that? Well, one of the possible solutions that was brought forth was, well, let's put a department there. Let's put the sheriff's hub. I don't know the official name of that building there. Cost a lot of money. It's a waste of police department. Thank you. That was the obvious answer. For the record, Dolly does not feel unsafe, but she just want to put that on. That was her people. So she good, but recognizing that is an issue for other people. And so again, that's what we're talking about. What are some issues? What do we need to talk about? So it sounds like we need to go to the sheriff's department and say, hey, I love that lovely building that you're there sometimes. At what point are we going to be there 24/7? Because you still have to get your fingerprints done in Leonardtown. So we have a building, but we don't have the convenience either of having a building there. So those are, again, some of the things that we talk about in these conversations to do something about. Don't let this end here. Do something about that. We can call the sheriff's department. We can use things to do. I don't want to start telling us all of these action items. Y'all can tell us some action items. Please do. But that's the whole point, to get your mind going. What are some things we need to talk about?
To the mic. I understand that. But the question is, my question is, I'm not hip to, all the political stuff or, what's going on. I'm one of those, if it comes my way, I'll deal with it type person. But how do we have, as you said, 5 Title I schools in one area? If anything, that should be the question, is how is that? where's it? I mean, Title IX is, it's what, federal funding, right? That the schools are supposed to get to help better the school. But if we have 5 in one location in one, what, that county or area, in one area. I mean, one zip code. How is that? That's the question. I think that needs to be brought up to how is that?
So you want to talk about addressing poverty? If we have 5 Title I schools, that
I drive on Great Mills Road every morning to go to work, and it's not one time I see, oh, that business is gone. That business is gone. St. Mary's County Square, Lexington Park Square used to be pumping with businesses and stuff like that in this community when I was younger. There is nothing there. If you drive into Lexington Park and your tire might bust out because you got holes and all that in the roads and all that stuff. And my wife will tell you, when it comes to paying taxes, she has to drag me there, because my feeling is, if I drive into a pothole, that's my money. Somebody ain't doing their job with my money. You feel what I'm saying? So how do we address that? You know what I mean? Get businesses back in there to populate in the community.
So you're talking about addressing poverty as one issue that we need to get some focus on. How can we improve poverty in St. Mary's County? And then the other thing is addressing the Lexington Park and the need of it to be revitalized, or insert a number of different adjectives that we've heard throughout the years of what's going to happen for Lexington Park. We all heard about the Lexington Park development plan. What's going on with that, right?
Yes, and Tony, as being the sage, I can tell you how it happened. Social services put all of the folks that were low income or that needed assistance in Lexington Park. That's where most of them live or get their services and their support. And it's happened for years. So over time there we have Title I means that the students it's high poverty. Carver, I think it's 85% of the students at Carver Elementary fit in the low income, high poverty range. And you know the proximity there. So that was it. The housing, very limited in the other areas. So everything was moved here in the Lexington Park area. And back to what we were saying about the policies and all of that. Well, one of the things that I guess address again is communication, and the whole idea of Lexington Park having no representation is none. The county commissioners, and this has been a big policy issue, the county commissioners, all except for the president, they represent the whole county, but one is assigned to a district, assigned. But when you vote, you can vote for all of them. So that means that if I'm running from Lexington Park and you want me to be your commissioner, and somebody in the 3rd commissioner district and the 2nd commissioner district can vote me out if the people in Lexington Park don't vote in my district. So there's a push to have in-district representation, to have someone to say, I represent Lexington Park. And then there's the push against that. How do you what? Your delegate, Brian Crosby, has for 2 years had a bill in the House of Representatives with that same issue. Let us have in-district voting representation in Lexington Park. It has failed. The county commissioners do not want it. So they didn't want to even put it on they send the bills. Every year there are the community can come in and say the kinds of bills you want to go and for laws in Annapolis. But what they will say, but we're all supporting it. But it doesn't always work that way, because when it's something that their district, this is me right now. If it's something that their district does not want for Lexington Park, well, they say, well, that's like the YMCA, the big argument about, well, we want one in our district. So that became an issue where now the YMCA will be in Lexington Park, and hopefully it'll have one in the other parts of the district too. But we needed that type program in Lexington Park. So, so all of them can vote against it, which they didn't. We're finally getting one. But there was no person that could come to their people and say, go to Brian Crosby, let's work together to get that bill passed for Lexington Park. Now, there's still a chance to get in district voting. There's still a chance. So, all of us in here, we've got to work together to work with Delegate Crosby to make sure that happens. So that's the political part of it. It's not really, I'm telling you, I loved it too. It is not go home and sit down and, like you said, and question without action. So it's my guy that passed away, the delegate that died, John Lewis. He said, when you pray, move your feet. So you got to get on your feet. And that's one more thing, Mia, I just want to say about that whole issue. And Alonzo, you'll back me up. Our churches, and I don't know anybody's religion or whatever, but it's, Martin Luther King was a minister. He was a pastor. A lot of these pastors, that came up through the civil rights era and all that, what they did was they got their churches involved in political action. And there's, different frames of reference that you can do, but just like we're talking about now. So it's good. I know, just for one example, I think they had a march and the NAACP was supposed to be there to have a table and all that. Last minute, we were told, well, it's not going to be that kind of march. We're going to have a sign that says, pray for Lexington Park. Well, when you pray, move your feet.
I just want to speak briefly on St. Mary Square. My name is Colette Thomas. I am speaking from a small Black-owned business. We are operating in St. Mary Square. I own Anointed Hands of Colette Thomas, LLC, operating out of a Head of Style, which is in St. Mary Square, directly behind AutoZone. We have been operating 8 years now. Looking forward to celebrating 10. We do a lot in the community, as Nico explained earlier when she spoke, making that connection, going into the communities where you're not for sure if you're welcome or if you're going to be accepted. That's what we do. We actually, and I'm the main one that goes into the community. And if you don't feel safe going into that community, we'll go in that community with you, or we'll bring you into our salon to speak with that community that you're afraid to reach. This past election time, we had clients that came in, they couldn't make some of the meet and greets. They couldn't make some of the charity events that the commissioners had. They couldn't make some of the county meetings, the board meetings. So they question what's going on in the community because they work in the city. By the time they get down, everything is closed. Everything is done with. That long journey and commute to the city, or just trying to get groceries, get the kids together. You want to know what's going on in your community, but you don't know how to get to them. On the weekends, the offices are closed. We're open. We're available. We brought the commissioners in. If you were running for office in this past election, you were welcome in the salon. We didn't care what party you was affiliated. If you were running, we wanted to know what you had to say. We wanted you to address. You can even go to our social media page. We had delegates and folks that was actually running for office that spoke with our clients while they was under the dryer, while they was in the chair, while they was at the sink bowl getting shampooed and all. But they were not afraid to come in that community. Yeah, St. Mary Square has went down. Like Tony said, I grew up in the same area. St. Mary Square, everything used to be there. There's hardly anything there now. There's a couple of new businesses coming in, but it's not much. The parking lot, it's a mess. Eventually something will be done about it, but that should not be a reason to be afraid to come into your community or something that you want to experience or see or do. The young lady over here, she mentioned the safety. It is a safety issue on Great Mills Road in Lexington Park in that area code, because you have a lot of homeless people and people that stay in the woods. So people don't want to come into a shopping center, go get your groceries or go get your hair done or go to McDonald's And before you get to your car, you got 2 or 3 people ask you, do you have $1 or can you give me something to eat? You know, after a while you feel harassed. So it's not just more of a safety issue, but you have people that really don't have nowhere to go and they really do need that help and they stay in the woods. You know, yeah, the sheriff stations is there, the hub is there. You got so many housing and communities there, but you still have people like Nate said, they don't meet their qualifications of income. They have nowhere to stay. And how many people in this room have actually walked or been around the back of St. Mary Square in that shopping center to see how people are actually living in the woods? Like they have tents, they have mattresses, and some of them, they are desperate. They will break into some of the businesses because that person that they asked going to the car didn't have time to deal with them, didn't want to give them that $1 or take them to go get a meal. Have you ever been hungry? You know, how are you going to feel? And some of them have kids. So all of these services are available, the platforms and all, they're there. But if they have to come to you, and if you smell them before they get to you, how more acceptable are you to shake their hand or actually help them and not just give them $1 and send them on their way so that they're not bothering you? So we tend to bridge and do a lot more in the community than what we used to. When we first started opening, first thing we said, and we decided this back in high school, you know, Tamika, she's the owner of a hairstyle. We said St. Mary Square will be the ideal place to have a Black salon. And that's what we did. We've both been doing hair for 25 years. When we opened that spot in St. Mary Square, we said, how do we reach the community? We reached out to the school system. We reached out to the church. We reached out to other nonprofit organizations. We provided shoes. We did Christmas gifts. We adopted families. We did stuff under the radar. After being there, being successful so long, we're not under the radar anymore, which is why you see me here speaking at this meeting. You see me go to some meet and greets. I may be quiet. I'm in the background, but I'm listening to what's being said and what's coming from the clients, from the chair. So a lot of times I step from behind the chair, which is what I am doing today. And the last election, a lot of them didn't win. Some of them did. Those that didn't, we look to see them on the ballot another 4 years because we're excited of the change that they spoke of when they came in and they spoke to our clients that was under the dryer, that was in the chair, that was at the shampoo bowl. Some did get in. We're excited to see what they're going to do. But you have to think, if you're running for an office, nobody knows you. We don't know what you've done. Only thing we can do is give you a chance. Either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. If you don't do it, we're going to vote somebody in next time. But either way, it's going to be a chance. Coming into St. Mary Square, it's going to be a chance. Going to the health hub to get help, rather you got to go through security or not. It's that mindset to say, I'm going to do it. We're not going to force you. We're just going to let you know it's there. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Thank you. So what I heard you say, put my mediator hat on. What I heard you say was that in response to we're going to go round robin. So in response to how can we address poverty? How can we hold people accountable, right? How can we take control over what's happening in Lexington Park? Dr. Walthour will let us know, well, you know what? There's some policy that we can help influence. There is some policy that's already written that's set to do exactly that. Have people vote by the district. That means you vote who is going to be in charge of your district. But we need people to be aware of it. We need that word of mouth, and we need to walk, right? We need to move our feet into action. We need to do something about it, just like you were talking about, that every little thing counts, right? That making a space for others, inviting people in or going to them, whatever it takes, making that space, making people, I don't want to say just aware, but really being a part of the community and interacting with the community. Someone's coming up to you with, looking for money, like you said, and they say no because they think they don't want to deal with them, whatever it is. And then a consequence of that or possible consequence of that is some type of crime. And that's not to put the onus on anyone in the room about, we have to do this. The point is we're all a community, and how we interact with one another has lasting impacts. Lasting impacts, no matter what we do, whether it's something as small as offering $1 or something as big as going to the commissioners and say, hey, we do want to vote by district. What are you doing? Hear me. Hear me. So there are a lot of things that we talked about today. Don't forget the things we've talked about today. So I want you to talk about it with other people. Share the information about the resources, about the benefits. Share what you learned about what you can do if you're going to be one of those people who are going to lose those benefits. Talk about the poverty that needs addressing. Talk about the options we have and why it's important to vote and affect policy. We started this conversation. I asked, well, what type of policy? Nobody really had any ideas about that. But everything that was talked about today is influenced by policy one way or another. So when we have events like this and we have forums and we have opportunities to learn about those things, show up and bring a friend. They don't come with you, blast it out. Somebody mentioned social media earlier. That might have been that here. You got your social media. Use your social media for more than just flexing, more than talking about what happened down the street. Let's talk about the bigger, important things. We need our energy here. We need to make a noise to make the change to affect policy.
I want to say real quickly, everything you said today is true. There is some concerns with safety in Lexington Park, but you have to take it in perspective too. I came here in 1970, and I know Catherine is sitting over there and ain't said nothing, but I'm gonna tell you, and I know Catherine knows. In 1970, that's when I was scared. I got here, everybody that had a pickup truck had a shotgun hanging across the window. I said, where mine? Oh, you're not authorized. Every pickup truck in St. Mary's County had a shotgun. So I go to the park now and they say, well, the homeless is there. I said, they don't bother me. Them shotguns are gone. You see, so it's what you take in perspective. I'm going to tell you, on June the 3rd, the Health Hub is doing an open house from 9 to 12. So if you don't know what the Health Hub is all about, you can go there on June the 3rd, and they're going to have an open house. What's the day? The 26th to 27th, the new Shoppers opens up, the one here in Leonardtown, in California and Leonardtown. Both of them two Shoppers open up. St. Mary's County is a food desert. Okay, and that means something. We serve a lot of people down at St. Mary's Kitchen every day. Every day they're serving 2 meals a day. Okay? It's over 500 people living in the woods behind Lexington Park that are homeless. 500 people. And they're there for a reason, and they all want to live. So they're going to do what they have to do to live. So does that make you scared? Yes. But what is our county doing about it? Look at some of what they call the warm programs and see how that works. Oh, well, our church, we got a warm program and we bring them in and keep them warm. Nobody tells you 7 o'clock in the morning they kick them out. Yeah, the church got a warm program. I guess it don't get warm after 7 o'clock. Because 7 o'clock, they got to go. They even got transportation to go around, pick them up, and bring them to whatever church is doing the warm program. But be out there at 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's a lot going on, and I'm going to tell you, get involved. That's the easiest way. If you can't get involved, then email me. I can't do it all, but I can't represent it if I don't know about it. The other thing I'm going to tell you is Healthy St. Mary's Partnership has 4 coalitions: mental health, chronic disease, environmental health, and violence, injury, and trauma. And you can get their information for free. All you got to do is go online, type in healthystmaryspartnership.com and sign up as a member, and they'll send you a newsletter every week. every week they put that newsletter out, you know. So if you work 9 to 5, at some time after 5, you go into the bathroom. And when you go to the bathroom, just Google Healthy St. Mary's Partnership and read the newsletter. It's that simple. You know what I mean? And then you can say, I'm putting up with all the poop. Okay, but you can join as a member. It don't cost you nothing. You get all of the information. And then you can say, I need the Chronic Coalition to do this, or the Injury and Violence Coalition to do this, and I'm up to speed on it. But you got to find a way to get involved and get your people involved. Anybody else have anything? Lonzo?
My name's Alonzo Gaskin, and I was born here. And when I grew up here, my parents and all of the elders around us were proactive. We've become a reactive community, and we're not community. We're a bunch of little huts and tribes all over the place. We don't work together. We don't do anything together. Everybody wants to have their own little rice bowl, and it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for the last 50 years since I've been here, and it's still not working. At some point in time, you're going to have to figure out as an adult that you need to do something that's beyond you, and not just to satisfy your own personal needs, but to look at the community as a whole, not pieces and parts, but look at the community as a whole. We always want to use the old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. We haven't been a village for a long time, and it's time we become one again.
Okay, I have a lot of information up here that my community partners brought in. So if you're not doing nothing else, at least take it with you. If you need an extra meal, you got a dog to feed at home, I don't need to know that. Just put it in the bag. I can't eat it all. And take it with you. But I want to thank everybody, really, from the bottom of my heart for coming out and putting up with this. I try to do a community conversation once a year, and I usually do it in April because April is Minority Health Month. And I want to have all the data that I can, because in September, the Healthy St. Mary Partnership does their 1 annual meeting, and I want to be able to put all that data down and say, hey, when they get ready to select what their action items are, I can put this on the table. Okay? So, and I can't do that unless I know what you guys are worried about or see as the issues. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for coming out. All right. Good. Let me tell everybody. Oh, one last thing. If you're interested in the what do you call this thing you do? If you're interested in the live stream, I'll put a email out with the link that you can go to and revisit it if something came up that you needed to ask. Okay. All right. Okay. And that'll work. So, you know, that's what it's all about. If we know, then we can react to it. Thank you.